You walk into a coffee shop and the menu looks like a chemistry syllabus. What starts as a single roasted bean quickly branches out into a massive, overwhelming global matrix of options. Confronted with this wall of choices, most of us freeze. We default to the standard vanilla latte because venturing into the unknown feels like gambling with our morning energy and our taste buds. Every single drink on that menu was engineered to solve the exact same problem: how to balance the natural, sharp bitterness of the coffee bean against our human craving for comfort. We're mapping 26 global coffees against a flavor radar chart, scoring them on strength, sweetness, creaminess, and prep time. This framework identifies the specific scenario and the exact type of drinker each cup was built to serve. The modern Western menu is built on espresso. Forcing hot water through tightly packed, finely ground beans at high pressure creates a dense, concentrated shot capped with a golden layer of crema. When that shot is too aggressive, the easiest fix is melt. A latte takes 1 part espresso and adds 3 to 4 parts steamed milk. This softens the edges of the bean, creating the mildest entry point in the café. If you want a milder drink without the dairy, you add hot water. U.S. soldiers stationed in Italy during World War II found local espresso far too strong, so they diluted it with hot water to mimic the drip coffee back home, creating the Americano. Italians themselves have a different method for muting intensity: thermal contrast. Pour a hot shot of espresso directly over a scoop of cold vanilla ice cream, and you get an affogato, slowly melting the sharp coffee into a rich dessert. These foundational variations all tackle the intensity of espresso by stretching it out. Whether you dilute it with water, milk, or fat, you get a smoother sip, but you sacrifice the dense, raw texture of the original bean. Long before the espresso machine, Turkish coffee established a different baseline. Powder-fine grounds are simmered directly in a small pot called a cesve. It's never filtered, leaving a thick, intense sludge at the bottom of the cup. Sometimes local scarcity dictates the recipe. In 1946 Hanoi, fresh milk was incredibly hard to find. A bartender adapted by whipping egg yolks with sugar and condensed milk, spooning it over strong Vietnamese coffee to create a custard-like liquid tiramisu. Temperature is another variable you can strip away entirely. Cold brew extracts coffee using cold water over 12 to 24 hours. Without heat, the bitter and acidic compounds never fully form, yielding a naturally smoother, sweeter cup. You can even hack the texture without dairy. Infuse that cold brew with nitrogen gas, and you get a cascading, foamy head. The tiny bubbles trick your palate into perceiving a rich sweetness without a single gram of added sugar. By removing heat, eliminating filters, or introducing alternative fats, brewers bypass the harshness of the bean entirely. In Ethiopia, preparation is an extensive communal event. The Buna ceremony takes up to 2 hours. Beans are hand-roasted and brewed into 3 progressively weaker rounds, ending with a final cup intended to bring a blessing. In Italy, ritual is built on strict ratios and digestion. A traditional cappuccino balances equal parts espresso, steamed milk, and milk foam. Because of the heavy dairy content, it's strictly a morning drink. Ordering one after 11 a.m. is seen as an invitation for an upset stomach. In northern Finland, the ritual involves cheese. Kaffeost features cubes of a mild, squeaky cheese submerged directly into a hot cup. It absorbs the coffee without melting, creating a savory snack you eat with a spoon once the liquid is gone. The modern mocha traces its roots to global trade. It gets its name from the port city of Mocha in Yemen, where the native beans possessed a natural chocolatey profile. Today, cafes recreate that historical flavor profile by adding cocoa powder or syrup to a latte. These preparations serve as communal and dietary anchors, rooted in trade history and regional digestive habits. Other brewing methods use bold additions to alter the drink's chemical makeup. Café de olla is simmered in a clay pot with cinnamon and piloncillo and unrefined brown sugar. This infuses the brew with an earthy warmth common during the Day of the Dead. If you want precise equilibrium, you order a Gibraltar or Cortado. It's exactly 1 part espresso to 1 part steamed milk. It cuts the acidity just enough to make it drinkable quickly, while keeping the coffee flavor front and center. Then there's the functional approach. Inspired by Tibetan yak butter tea, All-At-Proof Coffee blends black coffee with grass-fed butter and MCT oil. This pairs caffeine with heavy fats to provide a slow, sustained energy release without a blood sugar crash. In Miami and Cuba, the energy release is immediate. A Café Cubano forcefully whips sugar into the very first drops of an espresso extraction. This creates a dense, pale paste called espuma, baking intense sweetness and a thick foam directly into the shot. By introducing raw fats, unrefined sugars, and precise milk ratios, These variations turn a simple brewed beverage into a functional source of calories. Sometimes extreme texture is the only goal. In 1957, a Nescafé representative in Greece couldn't find hot water, so he violently shook instant coffee and cold water together. The processed granules whipped into a massive foam head, inventing the Greek frappe. Then there are methods driven by sheer rarity, like kopi luwak. Under Dutch colonial rule, forbidden Indonesian farmers scavenged coffee beans eaten and excreted by wild palm civets. The animal's digestive enzymes supposedly strip away bitterness, though today high commercial demand has led to severe animal welfare issues. In 2020, Dalgona coffee went globally viral. Relying on heavy sugar to maintain its inverted foam structure, this whipped instant coffee floats entirely on top of cold milk. It's highly visual, but versions of this exact beaten coffee have existed in India and Libya for years. In Spain, visual contrast defines the café bonbon. You pull a dark shot of espresso over an equally thick layer of white, sweetened condensed milk. You get a stark, two-toned glass that you stir together yourself. Visual appeal and exotic harvesting methods often mask the actual flavor of the bean, showing the lengths we will go to reinvent the standard cup. Senegal's Kassé Touba brews coffee with salim pepper and cloves. The result is a sharp, medicinal spice profile that serves as a sacred daily ritual for the local Sufi brotherhood. If you prefer clarity over spice, the Australian and New Zealand flat white uses a velvety microfoam to deliver high espresso flavor with very little dairy masking. For temperature shock, try the original iced coffee. Invented in 1840s Algeria, the Mazagran survives today in Portugal as a sharp, refreshing clash of cold espresso poured over ice and lemon juice. In Hong Kong, you don't even have to choose between coffee and tea. Yu Yan Yan is a working-class diner staple that evenly mixes black coffee with strong, creamy milk tea. Arabic coffee, or kawa, boils lightly roasted beans with cardamom. It is served completely black and sugar-free, acting as a mandatory gesture of cultural hospitality. And then there's Scandinavian egg coffee. Mixing a raw egg directly into dry grounds before boiling forces the proteins to bind with the bitter oils. The sludge sinks, leaving behind a shockingly clear, mild cup. Exploring these global techniques reveals that the standard cafe menu is just a narrow, highly commercialized glimpse into how humanity processes this single plant. The entire history of coffee is a constant negotiation with bitterness. To find your ideal cup, you just have to know which category you fall into: the purist, the sweet tooth, or the explorer.